Hi, hello, how are you? It's been so long. It's me, Jamesy. Hi, I'm James and Watts. This is my YouTube channel where I predominantly talk about knitting, but also whatever else I have going on or want to chit chat about. Welcome to newcomers and return viewers alike. I did have a podcast video, whatever the hell you want to call it, in July. Wow, that feels like it was such a long time ago. And it's still August. I think today is the 31st. I'm recording on Sunday. We'll see if this comes out today, but I think it will. So I like to, when possible, have a video every month. And I've been ready, like, as far as having things to talk about. I could have been recording this video for the past, like, 3, 4 weeks. Um, I just haven't been able to carve out the time to do it. So today feels like it's going to be a big episode, but I did like evaluate my life today and I was like, okay, I could totally record today. I'm just going to get it done. And that way I'll have an August video. So here we go. It's a little bit of a chaos mode today. I have a lot to talk about, but I also feel motivated to not dilly-dally too much because I want to go to the gym today. I haven't been to the gym in several days. I don't have any fun beverage to talk about. I thought about going downstairs outside to the smoke shop on the corner to get an energy drink, but I was too lazy. And especially once I put on this, I was like, I don't want to go up and down stairs and go in the sunlight in this wool sweater and then be hot for my podcast. And I also am feeling pretty energized. I think it's coming across, right? Oh my God. I'm like, why am I wearing short shorts and sitting crisscross? Nobody look at my legs. Um, they are one of my best assets though. This is gonna make me hot. Actually, being on the couch is making me hot, but it's okay. I think a lot of times when I feel overheated, especially, I like to think of it as a mental battle more than a physical battle. So I just need to calm my thoughts and my body will follow suit. So I'm comfortable in my wool sweater. It's not hot. It's really comfy. We are starting to get to sweater weather. Not quite, but close. Like it really cooled down a lot the past week and it I got chills just now because it makes me so happy. It's improved my mood so much to finally be able to turn off my air conditioning, um, which thank God I have AC. Like you need to have it in Chicago. It gets really hot in the summer and it's quite humid. But it's real. I just have window units and they're really noisy and they don't cool that well. And they like the house is not efficient, so they're just running constantly and run up my energy bill. So I also love having my windows open. Like I don't know if you can hear the cicadas outside, but they're still active and I love that sound. But I mostly just love a little cross breeze from outside coming in my apartment. And the number one thing is it makes my apartment smell really fresh. And it's not that, like, I think my apartment is stinky, but it just starts to feel like there's too much stagnant air when I can't have the windows open. Like, I love having my apartment smell like the outside when I wake up. And it's already starting to have that distinct cooler weather fall smell of like leaves turning and a cool wind. It makes me happy. Let me go ahead and talk about what I'm wearing. I actually did a last minute outfit change because I figured this sweater is going to come out before the next time I get a chance to record. If I were really good at my job, I would be able to tell you the exact date it comes out. And you know what? I can figure it out. I just need to look at a calendar, but I should know off the top of my head or have it written down. We're back to the iPad, everyone. Where the hell is my calendar? Google Calendar. Let me see the full view. Month, please. It'll come out on September 12th, Friday, September 12th. So that is in a little under 2 weeks. This is Look at My Holes drop sleeve. My first really like transitional, more cool weather mesh. I've done long sleeve mesh, but not ever out of wool. Certainly people who buy my patterns have transformed them through yarn choices or through lengthening sleeves into winter garments, but none of them were really intended to be winter garments, and this one is. Well, winter, fall, spring. It's more transitional because of the holes, but I see myself wearing this in winter as well, except for maybe on the like coldest days, or even on the coldest days, like I have to wear a heavy coat, so could be kind of nice if I go in somewhere to be able to take off a heavy coat and then get airflow, because you kind of get overheated sometimes in those winter coats. Anyway, the test for this is still going for another week and a half, but the tester versions that I have seen finished are looking great. Pretty drama-free test. Like, I don't think I've had to send any updates. I love when that happens. My last test, I mean, there was no major drama, but there were lots of little updates I needed to make at the beginning to get all the kinks out right at the start. But this was pretty straightforward for me to write and to design. I really love how it turned out. It's in Magpie Fibers Nest Worsted, which I believe is 100% Corriedale. I think it's Corriedale. It's non-superwash, and I love this yarn. It's my first time using Magpie. The yarn is rustic and crunchy and lovely. It's what I like, and the color is really beautiful. It's like a color I wouldn't traditionally go for, but it's very beautiful. And I think it's a color that appeals to a lot of knitters. So look out for that. If you need some winter mesh, I think it's a great design. I think I'm gonna get a lot of wear out of it as the weather continues cooling off. And yeah, Look at My Holes drop sleeve coming to you soon. Before I get any further into the episode, I just want to give my shout out to the channel sponsor, Westwool. Woo! So this is my second episode of my ongoing partnership with Westwool, who is the official sponsor for now. And yeah, have you looked at Westwool's website? Have you looked at all the yarns they have? They have tons of bases and tons of weights. They're at great prices, and they already had a nice color selection, but they recently like really added a lot of colors. Plus, I was just checking their Instagram before recording to see like, oh, is there anything new that I could talk about with them today? And they announced that they have an upcoming new base called Hex, I think, which is going to be hand dyed, which is cool. It'll like round out their collection nicely because all of their other bases are like solid colors, which I really like. Whether you are looking for a solid to supplement a really colorful project or you just need a solid color for something like this, they have you covered in a lot of shades. And besides their mohair, and then they have a superwash fingering weight, beyond those two, the other three, I guess, bases are all natural merino wools, which I really prefer. I really like that for most things that I knit. Obviously, there are times where I'm going to want the superwash. I don't know if I showed this last time because I feel like I meant to, and I feel like I had it in my pile, but I don't remember if I actually brought it out to talk about. But I want to, if I did, that's okay, because I'll gladly talk about it every episode. I want to shout out my antiphonal design, which was one of my collabs I've done with Westwool yarns in the past. I don't know, from your vantage point, how much of this shawl you're getting in the frame, but this is, I have one other like shawl-esque pattern, which was my first free pattern, Self Space. But since then, this is the only other shawl I've done, and I love this design. It's knit with Westwool Tricycle, which is their superwash fingering weight, which I do love for like a shawl like this. Nice and drapey, like something like this. I want a lot of drape, and superwash gives you that extra bit of drape. So I did the Tricycle and then their Glow Hair, which is their mohair, in two colors, two coordinating colors of each. And then I did like modular join as you go technique right on the spine. so that the colors are always trading places in the central spine of the shawl, and you're having like a play of texture at the same time. So this is antiphonal. If you need a fun modular shawl to knit, I highly recommend it. It's like pretty potato chippy, and then you get a fun border to do, which is my squiggly I cord. Which also, if you're just curious about the squiggly I cord, I have a really good tutorial video on all of the ways that you could do a squiggly I cord border on a piece of knitting. So the knowledge is there for you to grab. The I'll just go ahead and shout out my code for Westwool before I go further, but I do have one other Westwool thing I'm going to talk about. But you can save 10% on your Westwool order online with James Watts 10, and that's in all capital letters, James Watts 10, and I'll have these details in the video description below, but thanks to Westwool for sponsoring this video. And when I was talking to them about this partnership, I went ahead and asked for some of their glow hair for a design, which I've never really done a design in just mohair before, and it's something that I've always loved, unless I'm forgetting something. I do have a sweater that was in a mohair, but that was like a really thick mohair. It wasn't like a standard yarn you could find in a lot of places, and it was on really chunky needles. I mean more like a traditional lace weight fuzzy mohair. I've never done a design with just mohair. So I asked them for a few skeins of mohair in, oh my God, what is this colorway? I think it's called like Morgana or something. Morgana is the name of the champion that I used to main back when I played League of Legends, like over 10 years ago. I was a very early player of League, and then I got out of it after a couple years because I got bored of it. And also, oh my God, I'm not that good at a game like that, and it's competitive and toxic. Sometimes I think about playing again because I was like playing Heroes of the Storm, right, which is another MOBA game, a lot when I was in Croatia, and I forgot how much I love that genre of game. Anyway, I want to say this is called Morgana, but I could be wrong. But it's the tealy, steely, bluey, greeny color. You can find it, okay? I believe in you. I had asked for this, and wanted to do something in cables, and in my last video I showed a cable swatch in this yarn where I had tried a few different cables, and I had other cable ideas I wanted to try, and it was just like something I was putting off for like over a month. I like didn't touch the yarn, I didn't want to swatch because I was just like, I don't know, sometimes if I let too much time pass on an idea, it starts to stress me out. And then I thought about it and I was like, okay, I don't really even like knitting cables. I don't even really want to do cables. So why don't I just do something that I know I love doing, which is lace. And I actually haven't had, you know, I do my mesh patterns all the time, which are lace, but they're like geometric lace. They're not like motivic lace. That's how I like to call it and think of it. My only like really motivic lace pattern is dappled lace raglan, which I love that pattern and I love designing and knitting that. So I decided to go for another simple lace motif, and I found this stitch that I really like, and I'm working on a top-down drop sleeve sweater out of the Westwool Glow Hair. Again, I don't know how well you can see this. Probably decently well. It's beautiful. If you can't see the detail, trust me, it's really a lovely stitch, and I love it in the mohair. Fuzzy, warm, and soft. So that is coming. I think I'd like to release this pattern in January. I'm way ahead of schedule just because I feel like I was working and releasing patterns really consistently for the whole year, like until now almost. And then I always hit a point where I'm like, okay, I need to slow down and start to feel like I can get ahead for next year. That's just like how I like to work. And with having my fingers in so many different pots, I can't just be like constantly pumping out patterns. And oh my God, this instantly healed me. Like, I'm so glad I stopped trying to force myself to do something. I was excited about the way this yarn would look in cables. I think it would be really beautiful. I just wasn't excited by the prospect of sitting down to conceptualize and execute it. If someone else wanted to knit me a cable sweater out of mohair, I'd love that. And it might be something I still want to do later, but for now, I just needed something that I knew I could get excited about and enjoy the process of like more easily. So this is going well. Thanks, Westwall. Looking forward to this design. And if it's something you'd want to test, please pay attention to me, my Instagram, my newsletter, my YouTube, wherever the hell I decide to talk about these things, usually a little bit everywhere. Oh, and one other thing I needed to cover, because we did the big giveaway of last video, and this was the issue with doing a YouTube giveaway, and I kind of saw this coming, but I wanted to make it like really simple for people to enter, so I wanted it to just be like something I did through the comments, but not everyone like, a lot of people watch YouTube on their TV, you know, they're not like on the YouTube app, they might not be going on a computer or on the website, so they're not necessarily seeing their notifications. And I drew winners. I drew 4 winners, 2 to get pattern giveaways and 2 to get Westwool yarn giveaways. And I only heard from one of the pattern winners, who I already sent their patterns, and one of the yarn winners, who I still need to send them their yarn because I'm waiting to hear from the other yarn winner. So I'm gonna give it like a week or so. Hopefully, if you entered the giveaway on the last video I did last month and you're watching this video, you can check now purposely to see if you have a notification. You would have a notification if I replied to your comment on that previous video. So if you go back and see that you're the winner, then get in touch with me. You'll need to like reply to me on that comment. And I do check my YouTube, so I do like see notifications and stuff. But, and maybe I should go double check and make sure I didn't miss a reply, but I don't think I did. So go check, and then I know that video was like almost a month and a half ago at this point, but I'll draw new winners. So even if you didn't win, but you did enter, you might end up getting drawn as a substitute winner, because I need to find my winners and give away my giveaway prizes, right? So that's the update on the giveaway. If you're the person who won the yarn and we were already in touch, I haven't forgotten about you. I promise I'll give you your yarn very soon. Okay, that's that on that. I did make a list for myself on my topics, and I feel like I chose a nice order of operations, but also I'm in a really chit-chatty mood, which is good. I love recording when I feel like this. Like, the thoughts are flowing. I feel personable and charming. Sometimes I don't. But I don't want this to be a 3-hour video for several reasons. I don't have time, and my phone will die. I started this with my phone at like 60%. Like I said, this was kind of chaotic. This wasn't necessarily planned with more than 30 minutes of decision making in advance. So I would have my phone plugged in, and that's another thing. I'm using my phone for this episode again because I still am having computer drama that I haven't had time to deal with, and it just makes it much more difficult to deal with like a really big file size of footage taken on my nicer camera. However, it's kind of nice to use my phone because of how streamlined and easy it is. I do want to get back to using my camera because I like the way it looks and it's nice, and I have it for this reason. But I really want to consider, and I'm like looking on eBay here and there to get a different lens without spending too much money, because the lens I have is great for like portrait photography, but as I've said in other videos, it's really hard to get, my camera has to be really far away to use that lens to record this kind of content. And there's like only one setup I could use. Whereas I kind of like today that I got to go back to my living room, and I know the framing, you can only see half my tapestry, but still I like this setting, it's nice. And I just like being able to have more options of places I could film in my house. But when I'm using my phone to record, the other end, the like receiver end or whatever, I forget which is the receiver and which is the transmitter. I guess this is the receiver and that's the transmitter. I don't know. Okay, I'm not a scientist. I have to have something plugged into the charging port of the phone to use these mics. So, yeah, hopefully my phone doesn't die. Also, am I gonna run out of storage? I don't think so. But I'm not sure if I deleted my last YouTube video, which was a long one. This really said anything about. Also, sorry for the beeping. It sounds like sounds like someone's fire alarm, potentially, more than like a car alarm. So if I start to smell smoke, I may have to go. Okay, since my last video, in my last video I was wearing DK Basic drop sleeve sweater, but it hadn't come out yet, and that came out really recently. And oh my god, I love this sweater. This is the latest in the series of all my drop sleeve sweaters. There's only one to go. If you haven't bought the ebook yet, it's still a good deal. Like, it's a good price for how many patterns you get, and it's still cheaper than it's going to be because there's one more pattern I still have to design, knit, and release, which I don't know when I'll do that. I'd like to do it. Surely I will do it. It's not going to be this year. Surely sometime next year. I would love to do it in the first half of next year, like the first few months of next year. But if not, then I'll do it around this time of year next year. But when the final pattern comes out, which will be fingering drop sleeve basic sweater, whatever the hell it's called. Oh my god, that beeping is incessant. Go to hell. It's annoying. When that pattern comes out, the ebook bundle will bump up to a higher price, and that'll be the final price. And it'll still be a good deal. You'll still be getting them for like $5 or $6 per pattern, whatever I decide. But right now, it's still at a slightly cheaper tier, and if you buy it now, you still get the final pattern whenever it gets added. The people who bought that ebook collection when only one pattern was in it really got the best deal. So I'm thinking in the future, I may decide to do something like this again. I might want to go through all the raglans in different weights. Actually, I would love to do that. But it is a big undertaking, and it does, you know, I stretch it out over years. So hopefully if I do that again, I don't die, because then you wouldn't get all your patterns. But if I do that again, you should jump on that first pattern. I think I made the first installment like $12 or something, which costs more than a single pattern, so that's why it hurts that first time, but you end up getting 5 or 6 patterns or whatever it is. Super bulky, worsted DK fingering, five patterns. But this one I added short row shaping to, which I made like optional because the other patterns don't have it. And I like the idea of these patterns is that they're extremely straightforward and beginner friendly. So I like having the option for no short rows, but this one has them and I like them. To me, they don't make a huge difference in the fit of a drop sleeve sweater, but a little one, and I do like it. And this is Noro Yukata, which is actually a fingering weight yarn. I talked about this in my last video, but you can watch that if you want to know. I have a whole spiel about. With Noro in particular, or really sticky yarns, I like sizing down yarn weights, or like gauging up yarn weights. So knitting a fingering weight yarn at a DK weight gauge. That's that. I took really beautiful photos. That beeping is killing me, all. Usually when there's extraneous like environmental sound while I'm recording, it's always much louder to me than it ends up coming through on the mic. I do think this style of lavalier mic does a good job of picking up sound in a small bubble around it. But I bet you hear it a little bit, but not as bad as I do. I want to show you the photo, one of the photos I took for that, which you probably saw if you like follow my newsletter or saw the pattern on Ravelry. But I took photos for that on my recent trip to, we're really doing a throwback of me holding up my iPad to the camera. Y'all know how I like to do things, okay? If I had to spend a lot of time editing these videos, I just simply wouldn't be doing this, because I don't have the time, I don't have the willpower, I don't have the skill or the expertise, nor do I want to gain it. And y'all always make me laugh and tell me you find it funny and charming and you don't mind at all, so thank you. And actually, I'm sure some people hate it and they don't watch, and that's fine too. Yeah, I went to Washington State for 2 weeks with Jessie May and Park to visit our friend Lindy, who lives in a very secluded seaside cabin that is lovely. It's like in a mystical rainforest, and that is kind of that photo wasn't taken by her house, but in a similar type of climate forest. Um, that trip was great. We did, let me make sure I'm not missing anything. Lindy's partner, Aham, is a really fantastic musician, trumpet player, and he has a really well set up little music studio on the property with like nice acoustics and a lot of cool musical instruments. But the main draw is that there's a little stage with a very high quality microphone and speakers and monitor for the most high quality karaoke setup anyone has ever done. So we ended up getting heavily karaoke pilled, and we're doing karaoke every day and night that we were there. Um, I really got a chance to start to learn what my go-to songs are, and I never thought I was a Cats queen, but let me tell you, Memory from Cats is a joy to sing. Lots of us were taking turns singing Memory from Cats. I also was playing it on the piano and singing and doing it that way. I love to sing in Chinese. One of my favorite, I always sing like classic Teresa Tong songs, which like everybody knows in China. Um, but I love to sing this one song called Unrequited by Yoga Lean, like yoga, and Lean Lin. That's the English title of the song, I think, and it'll come up if you search Unrequited. In Chinese, it's like Lang Fei, which is like waste. Um, Love to sing in Chinese. Love to do karaoke. Was going for a swim in the water. I think I managed to go almost every day. I was at the cabin, and we had shrew slash vole drama. Um, there was a shrew sighting, like right before we got there, or a vole. We thought it was a vole, I guess, but it ended up being a shrew, and it was a whole escapade of several sightings of the shrew before finally like ordering. We tried to just capture it ourselves, like by hand, and that didn't work. Which you would think it would because it was walking right in front of us so slowly, but it was zoomy if you got too close. But Lindy ordered traps while we were there, and we set them, and then we caught it and realized it was a shrew, I guess. Really cute. And we released it right by the house, and then we caught another shrew and another shrew and another shrew. And to me, I was like, are we sure this isn't just the same shrew immediately coming back into the house every time we like release it 15 steps away from the house? And sure enough, shrews have an extreme homing instinct, and you need to release them like a mile and a half away to get them out of your house. So Lindy did that, and I don't think there has been another shrew captured. So that supports the theory that it was one shrew who was just coming back immediately and getting captured immediately, which was funny. Also, at the cabin, me, Park, and Jesse always have our knitting, obviously, everywhere we go. And Lindy knows how to knit and crochet. She doesn't do it too much, but she always feels really inspired by being around us. And she'll pick up her sock project that she's been working on for like 3 years. And we always encourage her, but at the same time, I'm always like, Lindy, are you really gonna knit that sock? Like, you've been working on it for years. It's like, it takes a lot of patience and like a lot of focus to knit a vanilla sock, especially as a beginner. Um, so we were workshopping other ideas for a craft project she could do, and she ended up finding a big stash of this Pearl Soho yarn. I forget which base it is. It's a bulky weight wool single ply, really beautiful. And she had it in a bunch of nice coordinating colors. And she's made a granny square blanket before, so we were like, why don't you make another granny square blanket? And she was like, oh my God, okay. So she got all the yarn down, and then we were like, why don't we all work on squares together and see how quickly we could make a blanket. Like maybe we could make a blanket just during our trip. And that's exactly what we ended up doing. It was really sweet. We called it the friendship quilt, and we were a little crochet granny square factory. It made it easy because the yarn was so bulky and we were on big hooks. I've known how to crochet since I was a little boy. My mom taught me how to crochet when I was probably 10 years old. But I've never been that good at it, but I've always known how, and I've always I know all the basics. And I've probably made a granny square before, but I certainly never made a blanket. Um, but it came to me quickly and I loved it. But let me show you the blanket we ended up making. So pretty. Oh my god, did I not transfer myself the blanket photo? Ugh, that is so evil. Okay, go to Lindy West's Instagram and look at her reels about the blanket, or her TikTok. She also posted it on TikTok. I'm sorry to not have it on my iPad to hold up to your screen. My iCloud got full again, so my photos aren't auto transferring between my phone and my iPad because keeping space in my iCloud is like a full-time job that I have to keep up with. Like I have to be on cleaning up my phone regularly, and it's really hard to keep that habit. So before this episode, when I knew I wanted to show photos on my iPad, I went through my phone and looked at my list of topics and made sure I had some photos that I airdropped to the iPad right before recording. And I missed that one, so sorry. But imagine a bulky granny square quilt with a lot of white and pink, purple, green, and orange, I would say, are kind of the colors. A little bit of yellow too. It turned out beautifully. I loved it. And also, this is my second year doing this trip to Lindy's cabin, and I think it's something we have already decided it's a traditional trip that we plan on taking every summer. And also part of that tradition the past 2 summers has been doing an in-person friendship knitting event with me, Park, and Jessie May at the Lamb and Kid on Bainbridge Island, which if you ever get the chance, if you're ever in Seattle and want to do yarn stuff, try to catch the ferry to Bainbridge Island and visit the Lamb and Kid because it's one of the top most inspirational, beautiful yarn stores I've ever been in. It's really stunning. It's big and spacious and has huge windows and tons of natural light. And it's pretty much all their own in-house yarn that they dye. And they do really excellent colors. It's mostly solid color yarns. And so I love that. And I'm in heaven. And it's a lot of luxury basis. It's a lot of cashmere. It's a lot of alpaca. But also some plain wools as well. And there is maybe a wool cotton blend for kind of a summery option. But I was talking to them a lot about potentially getting into even more summery yarns. So we'll see if that happens. But they've now heard from me and from Park and Jessie that that's something we would all love them to do. Like a cotton linen or a pure linen would also be nice. I love that event. I hope we continue doing that every year, but I think the shop and the patrons all seem to really like it too. So I do think it's something we'll continue doing. If you came, it was nice to see you and thanks for coming. It's just fun and easy. It's just it just feels like hanging out for a couple of hours with a room full of people who feel like friends and you all immediately have so much to talk about and so much in common. I want to know what everyone's knitting. They want to know what I'm knitting, what I'm designing. They want to get my help choosing yarn, and I love to do stuff like that. So thanks to the Lamb and Kid for hosting us again. And, last year they made sure to tell us, please do a little yarn shopping while you enjoy the event, and we would love to just give you any yarn that you need or you want to try, which was so generous. And they said the same thing this year, but we were all so focused on being present and enjoying everyone's company at the event that we just didn't want to walk around and think about designs or projects or collabs or something. Obviously, I could just start grabbing yarn and it's all beautiful yarn and I would be happy to have it in my stash, but I don't want to do that either. I want to be mindful. And so we had decided, we finished the event and loved the event, but we're like, oh my God, we all kind of regret that we didn't have the time to shop. Um, so we were like, okay, let's just come back to the yarn shop like on a random day, not during an event, and take our time really looking at everything we want to look at. And that's what we did. And we went back fully being like, okay, hi guys, we're back. We just want to like take our time shopping and buy whatever yarn we need. And they were like, okay. And the shop people were so nice and gave us space. And then of course I get up to the counter with like a bunch of beautiful yarn that I'm prepared to buy, and they don't let me buy it. They force it into my hands and are like, we love having y'all come here and want to gift you this yarn. So they're just so incredibly generous and sweet, and they did not have to do that. And all three of us were planning on paying and tried to pay, and they wouldn't allow it. Which, I mean, who doesn't love free, beautiful yarn? But what I ended up getting were a few skeins of their alpaca silk. Is it like alpaca silk wool? I don't remember. Hold on. I also forgot to put my treasure chest full of yarn over here, and it's behind the camera, so I'm going to grab it. Can I just show y'all my treasure chest? I bought this off of Facebook Marketplace for like $25, I think, and I love it. It's got a lot of character. It's got like the brass corner. Does anyone know if there's a name for this on a chest, this brass piece that covers the corner? I guess there was probably perhaps also one on this corner before that maybe came off. That's okay. Has a lot of character. I was so inspired by the blanket we worked on for Lindy that I decided to get several skeins of their birdie yarn. And did I keep any of the labels? That's okay, I don't see any. They have birdie in a couple of weights, and this is the lightweight one. Oh my God, I'm starting to sweat. I hope this is not a really unflattering way for me to sit on camera and pick my wedgie out. So I started working on a birdie granny square crochet blanket, which, guys, I know I get like a little bit delusional with some of my projects, but like I'm a crafter. Like I'm in the game for the love of it. I will always love making stuff out of yarn till the day I die. So I do have not eyes bigger than my stomach, but maybe eyes bigger than my level of free time and patience, and just I miscalculate sometimes, but just help me stay accountable. Why don't you like bully me a little bit in the comments to be like, you need to sit your ass down and make a granny square this week. But I have been making them. I mean, I've made like 7. And honestly, I would love to make like 100. I don't know if I have enough yarn for that, but maybe I just go until I run out of yarn and make whatever size blanket I end up with. I got like, I don't know, 6 or 7 skeins of yarn. But thanks to Lamb and Kid for hosting us and for always being really generous. Guys, check them out if you need like really stunning colors and beautiful bases. They have a lot to choose from. I love my granny squares. Oh my God, these are soft as hell. Can you see how soft it is through the camera? Let me look at my list again. So I also, I stopped by a yarn shop in Port Townsend. I can't remember the name of it. And I think there's multiple yarn shops in Port Townsend, but this was kind of on like, it was like by the water. It was on like the main street, it felt like. And it was in like a gallery with a bunch of little shops, but it also had a yarn store. And they had this sock yarn base right by the register called Misty Alpaca Socks. It's like an alpaca wool nylon fingering weight sock that I loved. So I bought 2 skeins of that. And my mom's birthday was coming up, and one of the skeins reminded me so much of colors that my mom would like love and wear. And my mom has loved the hand knit socks I gave her after her last trip back in March. When I was making socks for myself, but I offered them to her and she gladly accepted. And then once I sent them to her, she was telling me exactly how she was strategizing getting the most amount of wear out of them and like what nights of the week she would wear them so they could be seen by other people, which is so sweet. So she's a very knit-worthy recipient, and I decided since I didn't have anything else cooking for her birthday that I was going to cast on socks for her. And her birthday was coming up so fast, so I knit those socks in like less than a week, probably. And I mailed them to her from Washington, and they got to her the day before her birthday. So these were the socks after I finished them. They're sitting on a little rug in the cabin. Pretty, right? Like micro stripes and so soft with the alpaca. And then here is my mom after receiving them, along with my handwritten card and a little drawing of myself and a piece of origami that I made in the cabin. Isn't she pretty? She loved her gift. I always, year after year, sorry to everyone else in my family or anyone else who may get my mom a gift, but my gifts are always like really good, aka the best ones. But how can you beat hand knit socks? I mean, unless you give them to a Philistine who like doesn't enjoy them. It's like such a nice gift. So that's that. I came home from my trip and I tried not to, I'm always doing some type of work tasks here and there, but I tried to not ruin my vacation by feeling like I needed to like be working. And it was so nice to feel like a little break from work. So I tried to extend that when I got home. I mean, I immediately started keeping myself so busy, but for like 2 weeks after I got home, I did not jump into a new design. I did have stuff come out, like I had my DK sweater come out, but I didn't have any new designs that I was writing or knitting yet until I started the mohair lace that I showed you, which I just started that within the past week. But I did keep myself busy with other crafts because I kept myself really busy on vacation, like playing piano, playing recorder, crocheting for fun, knitting socks for a gift, singing, like being present, going on swims and runs, eating good, cooking good. So I like occupied my time and felt productive, but not in a capitalist way. So I just desperately wanted to extend that feeling for as long as I could after vacation. So I decided to take on a sewing project, which it's been about a year since my last one. I'm good at sewing. I have a sewing machine. I just don't, it's not a craft I love to do just because it's like physically tiring and it makes my house a mess and it involves a lot of precision, which I don't love. But I have been wanting to try making a full sleeve button-up men's shirt. I've done short sleeve in the past. So I decided to go for it, and I had fabric from Stash, and I've been so busy the past month that like if I really had time and dedication, I could probably knock a shirt out in 2 to 3 days, long work days for sure, but I could do that. It took me 10 days, so almost 2 weeks, week and a half. But the shirt came out so nicely, right? The fit is really nice. It's nice and fitted. The fabric it's from Kokka, Kokka, and that's like the manufacturer. The line is Kashiki, I believe. They're the manufacturer who make Nani Iro fabrics, which are fabrics that I've talked about and used a lot in the past. And if you're part of the sewing world, you may know Nani Iro a little bit better. But oh my God, the sleeve placket was very difficult and confusing, but I just followed the instructions and it's got the little pleats going into the cuff. It came out great. I love it. I also did all French seams on the inside. You probably can't even see it because of the print, but I have a seam going right here and the inside just looks really nice and clean. So that was a fun project. Next, also, if you want to read a little bit more about my experience sewing this, I wrote a Substack. Don't forget about my Substack, guys, because I'm writing on that. I did miss 1 week. It's the first time I've missed a week since I started, like over 6 months ago. And honestly, I may 1 week do 2 essays just out of like a weird personal grudge against myself of really trying to write every week. But it's a long time between these videos, and if you want to know what's going through my creepy little head, read my Substacks. They come out every Sunday, usually. Sometimes they're also a day later, a day early. But I wrote about making this shirt last week, and that's a fun read. I also had a Substack come out today because today is Sunday. And one of the things I've been very busy with since coming back from Washington is being available on Tinder and going on dates, which is not something I've done a ton of in life, certainly not with any frequency. And I'm really committing myself, babes, looking for love over here. It's tough out there. But I've been on Tinder in a very devoted way, like spending time on it every day, and it feels a little bit like a chore, but it's like, as someone who is self-employed and a homebody, it's difficult to meet people. And I'm not a drinker, I'm not into the scene, I don't love nightlife, so it's much easier to just be on dating apps. But I've been going on like 2 to 3 dates a week for the past month, which is crazy. So I today wrote a very funny Substack about my date night outfits of the past several dates. And the title of the Substack is I believe it's 4 date night outfits for the elegant fag. That's me. And I just want to read you the opening paragraph. And if you think it's funny, maybe you want to go read it. For the first time in my life, I am putting considerable effort into dating. Every day, I sacrifice precious girl bossing and giggle at memes time to participate in the humiliation ritual that is swiping on Tinder until the app tells me I have run out of swipes. In my profile, I have instructed all potential suitors to not waste my time with their idle text chatter and to man up and ask me out immediately. Thus, when I receive a match who knows how to follow instructions, I always say yes to their invitation, even if I too quickly swiped right on them for being hot without reading their profile, only to realize too late that they are 5 feet tall or degenerate. Same thing, am I right? JK, short kings, don't cry. Holler at me. As such, I am min-maxing the men of Chicago and have gone on 2 to 3 dates per week for the past month. So far, I remain a maiden unspoken for and must continue on my degrading quest to find the perfect psycho to match my freak. At the very least, I'm having fun putting together elegant and sexy outfits to delight, and that's what I share with you today. So that's the opening, and then I show pictures of 4 outfits, which I have been wearing really cute outfits on my dates, and I also say something funny about all of my outfits and describe them and like what I like about them, what I don't like about them, why I chose them. Give it a read. It's one of my favorite Substacks I've written so far. I was writing it this morning right after I woke up and like making myself crack up, laughing out loud writing it. And I'm not ashamed to admit that I have read it probably 5 times in its entirety since hitting publish. It's pretty short, but it's funny. So check out Sorry I'm Good at Everything, jamesandwatts.substack.com. So I also went to a fiber festival recently. I went to Michigan Fiber Fest in Allegan, Michigan. It was my first time going to that fiber festival. I dragged Park and Jesse with me. We had a great time. We met some fans. We met some vendors who we've known online and never met in person. Always fun. I was like really excited to be at a fiber festival, but I was not really in a mindset of wanting to buy yarn or spend money. I wasn't really knitting anything that week, nor did I want to knit anything that week. So I was like, whatever. Like, I like looking at the yarn for sure, but I just wasn't buying anything. I almost bought nothing. But then there was a whole Angora rabbit showcase, and there were a few vendors selling Angora bunny fur. And I almost bought a sweater's quantity to spin, but again, I like had to temper myself because I was like, look, you're trying to knit a Shetland lace shawl. You're trying to crochet a crochet granny square blanket. You're trying to do 1 million crafts. Like, don't buy a sweater's quantity of bunny fiber. Just don't. Like, give it a rest. But I was like, I do want to try spinning it, and then I'll get an idea. Like, if it's easy to spin, if I'm able to create a nice yarn, and I like the process enough to where I could see myself committing to a sweater's quantity, and then I could also see how I end up spinning it and maybe calculate how much fiber I'd need, then I took the card of the seller and I can buy, presumably I could buy more Angora. But it was a really good price. I bought 2 ounces and it was $8 per ounce. I wish y'all could feel this. Doesn't really have much smell. I wish y'all could feel this through the screen. It's just unreal. It like doesn't feel like it's from this planet. It's the softest shit on earth. Yeah, it's like just clippings, I guess. I don't really know about Angora fiber processing, but it hasn't been like, I don't believe it's been processed. And I don't think it was brushed off the rabbit. I think it was shorn off. I'm hoping I can just grab handfuls and spin it as is because I don't have any fiber processing equipment and I'm not interested in processing fiber at the moment. Maybe one day on my farm, after I find a really rich and sexy husband who's like devoted to me and gives me all his money from Tinder, then I might start processing fiber as a hobby. But as for right now, I can't be doing that. Coming up next weekend, I have Wisconsin Fiber Festival, and I went for the first time last year, and I loved that festival. I loved that festival so much. Like, there just were so many cool, like, farm to booth vendors that I'd never heard of, and a lot of them don't sell online. They sell at their festivals, and that's kind of it, you know? I ended up buying a lot last year. That's where I got my ankle loom. I got my little alpaca teddy bear. I got some alpaca sock yarn. Like, I got a bunch last year. And I'm hoping I find some inspiration and make some fun purchases next weekend. I'll be there on Sunday with Park and Jesse. So if you want to look for me, come on Sunday. Please say hi. Let's chat. Let's knit. I'm hoping I actually have time to like sit around a little bit this time. We'll see though. Since I'm going with friends, it kind of depends on all of our vibe and all of our timelines. But last year, it's a lot to see. And there's also shows you can watch. So like we watched like a sheep costume show with like little kids wearing matching costumes with their farm animals, which was unbelievably entertaining. So we'll see if I have any time to sit around, but it'd be nice if I could. But I hope to see you there. But I'm excited for that. Besides my new Mohair design that I'm working on in lace, I have one new cast on, which is some self-striping socks. I went to Jesse's house and I was knitting my lace, and I got to the point where I like was too tired and didn't want to look at a chart anymore. So I was like, I really don't want to knit this anymore. And she was like, why don't you cast on some socks? And I was like, no, I should just work on my design. And then I wasn't knitting it. And I was like, okay, fine. Like, let me see your sock yarn. And Jesse knits a lot of socks and has a lot of like 50-gram quantities of sock yarns that are already wound and ready to go that she's not going to do anything with. So she's always very generous in letting me shop my little personal yarn shop that is her closet. I actually got 3 self-striping sock yarns to make socks with, and those will probably be all 3 of my next pairs of socks. But this is the one I started with, and I'm sorry, I don't know because it was just remnant skeins. I can't tell you who dyed this. It might be the yarn jar, because I know Jessie May buys from the yarn jar. It could be Gage. I think she might buy from Gage. I'd have to ask her, but I'll try to ask her when I have this as like a whip next time, or hopefully a finished pair of socks next time to show. But it's very beautiful. And I have not gotten through all the colors yet. There's more colors to go. I don't know if I had launched my jewelry brand when I did my last recording or not. I think I might have, but regardless, the very long-awaited launch of J&W Jewelry did come to fruition within the past 2 months. So thank you to anyone who supported me on that. That was a long time coming. It was a lot of work. It was scary to put out into the world, but it went really well. I sold almost everything from the first collection. There's still a couple pieces left. If it's something for you, then maybe you'll see it and end up buying it. But I'm also working on a new collection, and I tried for the first time putting out my first big pre-order, which that went really well. I had 12 opals that were for pre-order rings. Simple, I call them my Bliss opal rings, which are just simple opal cabochon rings. And they almost sold out. All but one opal got sold out in the pre-order. And I said I was gonna shut that pre-order, and then I've been working on them like every day, because it is a ton of work to make 11 rings, and I'm doing them assembly line style, but it's more pieces than I've ever made simultaneously. So every single day I start with between 1 to 4 hours of working on jewelry, and I've done that Monday through Saturday. And then today I decided, I was like, I need to write my Substack, and then I was like, you know what? It's okay to have 1 day off of jewelry. It's also like hard on my little fingertips to be working with metal so much, so it's nice to have a day off. Who knows, maybe I'll work a little bit tonight, but it's like my last priority for the day. I was like, I need to write my Substack and record this video, and then I'm going to the gym after this, which I haven't gone to the gym in like 3 days, which for me is a lot. But between jewelry and knitting and dating, I'm also hanging out with my friends kind of a lot these days, which I love. And it's something I always want to be doing, but sometimes I'm not. Busy, busy, busy. No time for anything. And gym is something I always want to do and I always prioritize, but yeah. Oh, I'm doing a ton of violin right now. That's the other thing that I'm really forcing myself to prioritize with my schedule. But I'll get into that in a second. I wanted to show books for my reading segment, and I forgot to grab them. I'll grab them before I talk about them. Y'all know I love to walk away from the camera mid-video and then not edit it out. It's just part of the experience of watching a video on my channel. I'm not going to show the pre-order rings because they're all very organized, because I need to know who ordered what opal and in what size ring, so those are staying exactly where I've left them. But I will show you the first 2 pieces I've made for the new collection. Also, I finally ordered, I was using a very janky system of just putting all my rings in like a little jar, and I finally ordered a little ring display case where I can store ready to ship pieces. But I made this Prenite cabochon prong set ring, which is just, for me, this might be the most beautiful thing I've ever made. Like, I would badly like to keep it, but I'd rather sell it. I have enough jewelry. It's the one on my pinky here. It's not this big one, which is something I made for myself. Yeah, the green one. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. And then I made a similar prong set cabochon ring. This is the most difficult piece I've ever done. And it was like very experimental, but it's a purple chalcedony that's set with prongs, a large one in the middle, with 4 very tiny moonstone cabochons around the outer edge, and that is in quite a large size. Like the one on my pinky is probably like a size 7, I think, and this purple one is maybe a size 10.5, I want to say, something like that, maybe a 10. So if either of these pieces really speak to you, keep that in mind. Um, hopefully I can get through my pre-orders soon and then continue working on pieces for a new collection. I'd like to have, you know, at least like maybe in the future I'll just make a piece and sell a piece, make a piece, sell a piece, like put it on my website. But to me, for now, there is something kind of fun in my process and the designing of jewelry and in the marketing of a new brand to sort of have drops of several pieces at once. It's nice to go onto a website and be able to see like, oh, these 10 pieces and how they look together, and maybe you want to choose something, you know, rather than just, oh, one piece came out and there's maybe it sells quickly or it doesn't. I don't know. Yes. And there was a gem show last weekend and I picked up a few new gems for my new collection. I don't know when I will have time for a new collection, but one thing I'll tell you is that there will be at least one, if not 2 or 3 pairs of earrings for my earring girlies. It's gonna be kind of expensive, I feel like, because it's 2 pieces, you know, it's like double the work of making a single ring. But for someone who only wears earrings, just the right person could come around who like is really waiting for that, who is like not excited by my rings, but really would love to see a pair of earrings. But I at least want to do, I think, a pair of like opal. I love opals, and so many of my customers love opals, so I'm happy to keep doing new designs with opals. Um, yeah, I think I will do some juicy opal earrings. I actually think I've done pretty good on time. I'm probably over an hour, but not by too much, I would think. And I'm almost at the end of my list of things to talk about, but I have been reading like more than I've been reading in a long time. Like I've read a lot of books quickly in the past month. So let me just grab them. Sorry. Here's where I'm gonna go off camera. Don't look at my butt print on the couch, please. Okay. I'm coming back. Let me make sure my phone's alive. Oh, we're just over 1 hour. Guys, this video is gonna be really short, sweet, and consumable. I mean, I'm sorry to my girlies who would like a 3-hour video, because sometimes I really want to watch a 2 or 3 hour knitting video to just like have on in the background when I'm like knitting or something. It's so peaceful. And this is not gonna be that, but you know I do those too sometimes. So maybe next time for that. But let me go in order. I read I Who Have Known Men, which I had seen recommended on TikTok, and then Park picked it up and loved it, and then she got her boyfriend Caden to read it, and he loved it. And Park also said, Park is frequently telling me that there are characters in like media she consumes that remind her of me, and I always like when my friends are reminded of me in other places. It's sweet to me, and it also, I'm like, oh, if it reminds you of me, then I definitely want to read it and see like why you thought that and gain a little insight into your perspective of James. So this book, it's got such a beautiful cover, and the way I was seeing it like marketed or recommended on TikTok, I was thinking it was like a newer book, but it's not. It's from, when's it originally from? 1995. Yeah. And originally in French by Jacqueline Harpman. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what I was getting into. And it's a sci-fi book that is like very existentialist and like lonely and beautiful and thought-provoking. It wasn't something that like grabbed me narratively where I like was dying to know the next plot point necessarily, but it was interesting and mysterious and beautiful. So I enjoyed it. I recommend it. After that, I read Milk Fed, which was recommended to me by my friend and author Samantha Irby when I met her for the first time through Jessie May, like almost 5 years ago. Probably 4 or 5 years ago, we met for the first time. And she recommended me this book like the first time I met her. And then I only just read it recently. And shame on me for taking so long to read it because I loved this book. I loved every second of it. I couldn't put it down. It was so funny. The main character is insane and unfortunately incredibly relatable. Uh, it's about a 20-something-year-old Jewish bisexual woman with horrible anorexia and binge eating disorder and terrible mommy issues. And if you're someone who can't read about eating disorders, or if you're someone who doesn't want to read extremely graphic lesbian sex or sexual fantasies of a perverted main character, then this book isn't for you. But if you can stomach those things, or if you're like me and you actively want to read about those things, then you'll love this book. I won't say too much else about it. If you want to read a little bit more of an in-depth review, I also have a Substack where I reviewed this book from like 3 weeks ago. I think I wrote a Substack about this. After that, I went to the bookstore, Women and Children First in Andersonville, which is like a very like progressive, revolutionary, feminist bookstore. And I picked up a book I've seen several times recommended on TikTok called The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This may have been R.F. Kuang's first novel, if I'm not mistaken, but here it is. I loved it. I read this in like, it's pretty long. It's like over 500 pages, and I think I read it in less than 2 weeks. Put in a nice hour or two every night in bed. And yeah, it's not groundbreaking for me. It's not gorgeously written, but it's like a fun, fast, exhilarating plot that you want to get to the next page. And I love, it's like more like poppy, you know, it's like the pop music of books. And I always am looking for stuff to read like that in addition to other types of books. What am I reading now? Now I'm reading the book Rejection by Tony Tulathamute. I don't know how to say his last name, but I actually was recommended this book by one of my dates, who it was not a match. He was a nice guy, but there really wasn't a spark. And I forgot about it. And then I saw a bookstore owner on TikTok highly recommend this book, and I picked it up from my local library. It was my first time going to my neighborhood library in the year that I've lived here. Shame on me. But I believe I'm going to be a much more frequent library goer in the future. And I got to the halfway point of this book last night and realized I remembered the part that the date was telling me about, and I was like, oh my God, this is the exact same book that my date like 2 weeks ago recommended me. And I actually did write down that recommendation in my notes app and just totally forgot about it. And it's so funny that it came up on my TikTok like within a week. I mean, probably that's on purpose, right? But yeah, it was ready to go at my library. I picked it up after a run. So easy. And it's crazy. It's insane. It's like, I think it's 5 chapters, and each one is covering a different character who like goes through rejection. And the characters are like really, I mean, they're very human. There's something relatable about all of them, but they're also like insane, miserable, like deeply, deeply fucked up people. So luckily for me, not that relatable, but a little bit relatable on some level. But the main thing is that this book is funny. It's like making me laugh out loud in every chapter. I recommend that. But again, it's like really some misanthropic characters, a lot of very graphic sexual content in some of the chapters, maybe it's not for you. You can find probably better like lists of content warnings online if you're someone who needs that. I was also recommended by Sam, and she ended up just, I saw her recently and she sent me home with a pile of books. And wait, did I buy this or did she give me this? She gave me some books and I bought some books. I think I bought this one, but she also gave me some others that I have in a pile to read. But stop me if you've heard this one. I think it's about a lesbian clown, if I'm not mistaken. Samantha told me to read it, and the last time she gave me a lesbian book to read, I loved it. So I'm not going to take 5 years to read it this time. That was a big mistake. I'm so happy to have such a big reading update for y'all because I feel like for several videos I've been like, maybe I have a new book here and there, but it's taking me a long time to get through books, and I also wasn't that excited to talk about them. And I'm feeling excited by everything I'm reading recently. I think I needed to, I mean, The Poppy War is a huge fantasy like thriller, but I interspersed it with other books that are like more adult and not fantasy. So it made it more like exciting to read. I have travel coming up. I will be going to Florida for a road trip with my girlies. We have been long wanting to return to Florida, and I suggested we go right in the beginning of fall, where usually it's still hot enough to swim in Florida, but all the kids are in school. So we'll be driving my car. We're going to do the drive in one day from Chicago to Northern Florida, something I've done many times before. It'll be nice to have friends to trade off on the drive. I've done that drive alone many times before. And we'll spend about a week and a half spring hopping and beach hopping, and I'm really excited for that. It is truly something to live for. It'll be me, Jesse, Park, Lindy's gonna join us too. Can't wait. Yes, I've been doing violin, which I don't normally play violin. I play violin professionally for my little symphony gigs here and there. But I usually am not practicing violin because I don't want to, and I don't really have time to. But occasionally I take on something that requires practice. And I did two things. I signed up for an audition next week, which I'm woefully unprepared for, but I'm still gonna just try. It's a really stacked, long audition list. I don't know why a random little orchestra in Indiana needs to have such a tough audition. Maybe they're really good and maybe it's really competitive. I don't want to know. I don't want to get scared and hype myself up. But I'm going to throw together that audition. It's the kind of thing where it's like, if you really want to do a good job, you should spend a month or two preparing. I didn't have that. I was gonna give it 2 weeks, but here's the other thing. I also have a little piano trio of some new friends I've made since I moved to Chicago who are classical musicians. My friend Miguel plays piano. My friend Rachel plays cello, who I met her in Peoria Symphony. And we've put together a little friend group piano trio, violin, cello, and piano, and have decided to put on a recital in September in Pekin, Illinois. So it's like maybe the last weekend in September, I'll have a Peoria Symphony concert, Titanic live with Symphony. Let me know if you're in Peoria and you want tickets. I'll get them for you. And then I'll do, if you're in that area, also consider, I don't have exact information other than that Sunday at 2 p.m. in Pekin, Illinois, I'll do my piano trio recital. And we had our first rehearsal yesterday on Dvorak Piano Trio number 1 and Claire Schumann Trio, which our pianist selected both of those. Me and the cellist were both super agreeable and just like, sure, like whatever you want. But then I sat down on Monday, a week before, less than a week before our rehearsal, and I was like, okay, putting together 2 full romantic piano trios in one rehearsal is like quite a tall order. Like I better start working on these. And so from Monday through Friday, I probably spent around 2 hours a day practicing those piano trios. And I did not practice my orchestra audition music at all just because, you know, if I hope I get a good job out of winning a new audition. They pay well and their rep seems good, a lot of services, like it seems like it's actually a decent job. That's why I'm doing it. But if I bomb that audition, like it's not a big deal. Um, I can try again another time, or just end up getting on their sub list sometimes, even if you don't play great on your audition. You know, anyone can have a bad audition. That's the other thing. I could also put a ton of effort preparing and still play just as badly if I have a bad day or I get really nervous. So sometimes it's fun to fly by the seat of your pants and like throw something together and walk in confidently and see what happens. So that's what I'm doing. I'll start practicing for that. Maybe a little bit today, maybe not, because I'm going to be tired when I get back from the gym. But yes, I also could still potentially cancel that audition up to 48 hours before. I could cancel and get my audition refund check back, or they'll shred it, which is a common practice in the orchestra world. You like send them a check to hold a place for an audition, and if you cancel too last minute, then they cash it in. But if you give them enough notice, they'll destroy it or send it back to you. So, but I think I'll take it. I'll just try to get it thrown together. But yeah, it's more important to me, even though my piano trio recital is not something I do believe it'll be ticketed. We're probably not going to make a ton of money out of it, but still, it's a public performance with some new friends. It's something I'm like, I would not want to shit on that and throw it together without effort. I want to make sure I'm playing beautifully for a real performance with a paying audience. And, you know, it's like not like my orchestra concerts, which sometimes the music's like really easy, or there's just so many of us. I'm like playing in the middle of second violins, where it's like really easy to do a good job in the middle of the herd. I'm doing a piano trio is like I'm the only violin player, and it's soloistic, and it's like demanding chamber music. So practicing for that. But also, we had a great first rehearsal. We're going to rehearse again next weekend. We somehow fit the three of us into my very tiny ass living room in my little apartment. I have a piano, so that's why we come here. And it's not a great piano, certainly not for the level of our pianist, who is a strong player. Um, but yeah, I'm actually a little bit. I was like, why did I agree to this? I don't feel like I have time, because like I am sacrificing the time I should spend on the audition repertoire. But also, I'm like, I'm doing it because I love it, and it's like a shame that I don't do it more often. Like, I love playing chamber music, and I feel really lucky that pretty quickly within moving here, I was able to find a new friend who lives in my neighborhood, actually, the pianist, and then a new friend who's also in the city elsewhere from Peoria, from that I know from Peoria Symphony, who want to get together and collaborate with me artistically. Is exciting. And we're planning on doing more recitals after this one. We're already trying to figure out scheduling another performance. So, yes, that is it. That's all she wrote. What is that even in reference to? Is that like Agatha Christie or something? Angela Lansbury? Is it one of them? Murder, She Wrote? That's all she wrote? Who? I'm a fake fan over here. I covered everything, but I don't want to end the video because I love you guys so much. And I'm having fun sitting here chatting with y'all, my friends, okay? I always get the comment that, oh my God, it feels like I'm catching up with an old friend when I watch your videos. And I love that comment. It actually sincerely makes me so happy. Oh my God, it's making me tear up. Thank you for watching my videos. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm grateful to be artistically fulfilled in my life and surrounded by cool, supportive, lovely people who are also creative and smart and funny and down to clown. Thanks for watching. I love you. Bye.